John Cena, the politician, made an appearance on Cody Rhodes' podcast. Now, why do I say politician? Well, we know John Cena, the character, is dead as he tapped out to Gunther at Saturday night's main event, but the politician, that man is alive and well, and we got first glimpse of it on this episode. You see, I enjoy watching Cena. I enjoy listening to Cena speak. The one thing that we have to discuss that happened on this show here with Cody Rhodes is that they took seemingly what we can call is just garbage. They took garbage and they put it in this nice Christmas box and they put a bow on it and they wrapped it up nicely for you. They served it over to you. That's what they were doing. We know everything that Cena said. We know this already. Like everything that was mentioned, we knew what was happening as it was happening on screen. Whether it was the heel turn, whether it was the matches he was having, whether it was his retirement match, like we knew it all. And he decided to share his perspective on Cody Rhodes' podcast, and here's what he had to say. So he revealed that when The Rock and Travis Scott suddenly pulled out of the planned storyline, he and Cody never wasted time wondering what could have been. Instead, Cena said they immediately shifted their focus to what needed to happen next, stressing that the real test of leadership is adapting when star power disappears. So this is his quote. This is what he said here. Cena. Hey, you have The Rock and you have Travis Scott. Awesome. We can plan all this stuff. Then it was, hey, you don't have these two guys anymore. Not once did you and I ever have a conversation about, man, what would it have been like if we had those guys? No, it was like, okay, what do we do next? Now, of course, this is what they're going to say to you because at the end of the day, they are the performers. They have been in the business for a long time. If anything, they know how to pivot, and they also understand that the show continues. Like these dates that he has, they're running short. And everything that they're doing, they've got to think fast. They got to think on their feet because, as I said, they do not have a lot of time with this. I mean, by this time we were already close to WrestleMania season, so we had to figure something out, or they had to figure something out for the fans. So they couldn't have just sit there and harp on what could have been or take a direction that wasn't going to please the fans. Now here's the funny thing. They did take a direction, and that direction seemingly was a lame direction. And in their mind, they might have thought, well, you know what? We are making the best out of the situation. And, you could sit here and say, sure. I mean, they're trying to do something because, again, Cena and Cody are not creative. They're not the ones coming up with the idea. They're the ones that might approve or disapprove, but they're not the ones coming up with what's happening next. The truth of the matter is, regardless of what happened and how they had to take a pivot, we still do not have closure on it because we're not sure why these guys were inserted into the storyline to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know that yet. We still don't have an idea. When I say idea, I'm talking like on screen. They haven't explained. They did not explain to us. It was just we saw Cena come out, bash the fans week after week, and then there we go, off to WrestleMania. So that pivot, it was all you could have done, but you could have done more explaining to the fans what was going on. And I did mention this in a previous video. If they knew The Rock had limited dates, okay? If they knew they wanted The Rock to come out to sell out Elimination Chamber because the tickets were not, they weren't all sold out, then these guys should have seen this coming. They should have seen the fact that if we're not going to take this storyline, if we're going to bring people up here and then afterwards it's going to come back down here, We know that fans are going to have backlash. They're going to be upset. Why did we do this to begin with? Why are we taking this route? And you could also argue, well, who cares? Why would WWE care? Didn't they have the largest gate in the history of WrestleMania last year or this year? WrestleMania 41? Didn't they didn't they hit record numbers this year? Didn't John Cena's retirement make them more money than they ever had in any previous calendar year? Why should they care? Again, this is what they won't tell you. Now, Cena talks about the creative challenges. He did say that fans and critics obsessed over the missed storyline payoff. I mean, what else are we going to do? What else are we going to do when it's like seeing a film, a 2.5 hour film, and you insert a bunch of characters into the film, but you don't give us the backstory. You don't explain to us through the character or through narration, however it's done, why they're here. And then all of a sudden they're just gone. Like, they're in one scene and then you don't see them for the rest of the film. This is what this felt like. Now, again, Cena said that we do not mourn what's gone, we build with what's left. On his retirement run, he said that creative direction is always fluid. He explained that his farewell tour was full of pivots. Again, covering it up, of course, there was a lot of pivots, but that was because creative had no idea to begin with what are they going to do ever since the heel turn took place. After that moment, it was, okay, our hands are up in the air, we don't know. Someone hold our hand so that we know which direction to go, because we're lost right now. He explained that his farewell tour was full of pivots. The Elimination Chamber heel turn could have robbed fans of other dream matches if the original plan stuck. Here's what I'll say about that. A retirement tour, a full year, is different from one match. We had this conversation about, John Cena losing his final match, that he did not need to lose his final match. It would have been better if he had went over, because you would have had this nice celebration. And of course, we broke down the fact that having tradition where the guy who's leaving needs to put over the younger talent is not needed in a retirement match. Okay, this is a perspective that I'm sharing with you. Cena here says that if the original plans stuck, they wouldn't have seen these dream matches. Here's the thing. The fans would have rather seen Cena make a run with his heel turn and face off against different talent of today's WWE and have those matches, the matches that we haven't seen, that we never saw before. Because that would have made for compelling television, and what that would have done is, throughout the year, Cena could have helped other talent get over. As I said, it's different from a retirement match. A retirement match, sure, if you want to make the argument that the guy needs to go over, it's his final match. But if it's a tour, we do not need Cena winning every match on his tour. I mean, that's not how the fans would have liked it. Every single match for a full year, I don't think that's how they would have liked it. So, sure, you could say, well, they were robbed, they could have been robbed of these dream matches. Truthfully, if they knew what they were doing with Cena's heel turn, the fans probably would have wanted to see that more and would have loved to have seen that way more. Then, let's just pair them up with the greatest hits, There's nothing wrong with that, but that was the plan beforehand anyways. I mean, people were thinking, well, he's gonna have matches with his greatest hits, and then he's gonna go off. So they decided to swerve us when they had the heel turn. And again, as I said, the fans would have rather seen that play out. Now, on his first words post-retirement, He emphasized how honored he was that his first public conversation was with Cody, calling it polarizing by design and saying that he wouldn't have it any other way. So the fans and their reaction, they saw that they saw this as Cena subtly calling out WWE's reliance on celebrity cameos that don't deliver. I think that's one certain area for sure. I think they also rely a whole lot on these sort of, we call them aging talent, or talent that is Cena has faced in the past, and to pair these dream matches together. But again, it would have been better to see him face off against more of the current roster. I mean, we never got a Braun Breaker and Cena match, right? We never got Carmelo Hayes and John Cena. I mean, we could have seen a lot of these pairings, and it could have happened again if this heel turn that they did, if it had played out. And again, if they had known that guys like The Rock and Travis weren't going to be able to be available, I'm sure they had some recollection of that. It's not like you can't sit here and tell me that you did not know that, okay, The Rock, I mean, it's in the middle of the year, okay? He's got a lot of commitments. You don't just sit here and pretend like he'll be available. I mean, I'm certain they had an idea of what his schedule was going to be, and because of that, they still said, screw it, we're going to bring him into the storyline, and he's going to be sort of the main character. And we saw how that went. So the issue, it was never the fact that Cena, was going to fight and wrestle all the big hits. I mean, we would have loved to seen that. We have some, we saw a lot of that. There was no issue with that. That was the plan to begin with. The concern, again, is that they don't know what they're doing. And they're sitting around making these sort of like decisions on the fly. It's almost like, when Vince McMahon used to be here and they used to put together a show, and there are stories about him looking at the script just like, just a little bit before the show goes on the air, and he's ripping it up. He's like, no, we're not doing this. Change it up. And you have an hour before the show is going to air. What are you supposed to do at that point? This is what it felt like. This entire retirement tour is what it felt like. So, again, we thank you, Cena, for what he was able to do with what he was given. At the same time, this shines a light on WWE's creative, and I guess the fact that they say they pivoted, they say that, but they didn't do a tremendous job of it. And they didn't think this through. So all we can hope for at this point is they take this retirement tour of Cena's and they learn from it. If they ever decide to do this with another superstar, whoever that might be, they will have learned from this retirement tour. And if they don't decide to do it because of how lame it was, then, we don't have those anymore. But that is sort of the breakdown of Cena and the conversation he had with Cody Rhodes. I'd like to know your opinions. I know we had a lot of discussion about this in previous videos, and I post a lot on Instagram, so I have a lot of shorts that go out, and a lot of people are commenting different things about Cena, mainly his retirement match. But I'd like to know your thoughts. Did WWE expose itself by relying on The Rock and Travis Scott? Did they really need those two a part of the story? Because what if Cena turned and those two were not there? How would have things changed? Let me know. Drop your comments in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks again, and take care.